Hello, I'm Ellie from Little Inventors. Welcome to the MISD Energy Challenge. This is your guide to using the activities included in the resource pack and how to get the best out of them with your class. Each of your students will need a printed inventor's log to get started. In the inventor's log, you will find 9 different activities. You'll also find a set of challenge cards and 3 identical invention drawing sheets. I'm going to take you through the activities and tell you how to get the best from each one. You can always come back to this video later on and skip ahead to a specific activity if you need extra guidance or a reminder. Let's get started with Activity 1, Braille Investigator. In part 1 of the challenge, we'll be learning all about the history of inventing and inventors across the world. Your students will be introduced to Louis Braille, who invented Braille at just 15 years old. This activity will teach them the Braille alphabet and challenge them to decode the 5-letter word. The answer is hello. They will then be asked to write their own name in Braille. If they need extra letters, they can continue on the back of the sheet or another piece of paper using the 6-dot system, or they could write a nickname for themselves that's a little shorter. Activity 2 is Problem Detection Comic. Every story needs a beginning, a middle, and an end. The Problem Detection Comic challenges your students to solve a problem with an invention and then draw how the story ends. There's 2 examples on the sheet to help. Here's the first. The problem is the person can't reach the book on the top shelf. The invention solution is the bookshelves slide out to make steps. And the final box shows the person using their new invention to grab the book they want from the top shelf. Genius! Activity 3, Helping Hand. The Helping Hand activity sheet shows a number of different characters, from cats to babies to office workers. Ask your students to write down what they think these different characters might need a helping hand with. There are no wrong answers here. There's one example shown on the sheet. The character is the ballerina, and the want is to jump higher. What examples will your students think of? We're on to part 2 now. Activity 4, My Energy Day. The My Energy Day activity challenges your students to think about 4 things they do every day that require energy. Draw and write underneath where they think the energy comes from. If they don't know, they can ask a friend, you the teacher, or do some research. Or perhaps you could do this together as a class. Some examples of things that require energy could be driving to school, turning on the lights, using a phone, using hot water to wash their hands, heating up or cooking food, or cycling. Pretty much everything we do requires energy, even just being alive. The last part of the activity asks your students to make some notes about how they could use less energy and to come up with an invention idea to help change their habits. Let's take turning on the lights as an example. We could save energy by turning off the lights when we leave the room. What if there was an invention to help us do that, like an automatic switch or something even more fun? Activity 5, Rube Goldberg. During the challenge presentation, your class will be introduced to the great cartoonist and inventor Rube Goldberg. They will learn about his bonkers machines that are made to do really simple tasks, like the one shown here on the invention sheet. The first question on the sheet asks them what will happen at the end of the machine at letter E when the alarm clock goes off. It will fan the bird, of course. They are then asked to name the types of energy at each letter. There's a handy list on the right-hand side of the sheet with different possibilities. There could be more than one right answer per letter. For example, letter A will be both sound and vibrational energy. If your class finds this activity too challenging, you can always work through it together as a group. Maybe after this or another time, you could challenge your students to invent their own Rube Goldberg-inspired machine. They could draw it or even make it for real. Activity 6 is Dream Green. This Dream Green activity challenges your students to pick a room where they spend a lot of time and asks them to think of various ways they could make it more environmentally friendly. They can think of ways that they use energy within the room and then think about the different ways they could save energy, such as heating, lighting, water, or appliances. It also asks them how they could capture any wasted energy. For example, could they capture the heat from sunlight shining into the room? Or could they capture kinetic energy from the movement of people within the room? Finally, in the box, they can design their own green room. It doesn't have to be scientifically accurate at this stage. All ideas are welcome, and as always at Little Inventors, the more creative and bonkers, the better. We're on to part 3 now. Activity 7. Let's move. First of all, think about all the different ways our bodies are moving throughout the day and jot them down on the mind map. It could be something as small as brushing your teeth, or something bigger like climbing the stairs or jumping on a trampoline. Next up, we want your students to think up ways to use these movements and make them more fun. Could they use slides, swings, ropes, or even pulleys? Have a look at this example from Dominic, our chief inventor, in the box. A chair slide to make the act of sitting down even more enjoyable. Lastly, think about how this idea could be more environmentally friendly, maybe by the materials it's made from or how it's powered. For example, what if this slide was made from a tree? Or the energy of sliding down was captured to power something else in the room. Activity 8, Shape Up. The Shape Up activity is all about wind turbines. Did you know there are many different designs and shapes of wind turbine? Engineers and inventors are still trying to figure out the best way to capture energy from the wind. Ask your students to come up with a turbine inspired by human movement. Think about dancing, spinning around, jumping, or swinging your arms, or the different kinds of movements we do when we do sports, like swimming. Then think if they can come up with one inspired by an animal or bird. And lastly, one inspired by themselves. This could be anything. See if they can get creative here and remind them there's no wrong answers when you're inventing. We're on to the final activity now for part 3. Activity 9. Fly like a bird. Within the challenge presentation, you'll be teaching your class all about biomimicry, what it means and who does it. This activity will give them a chance to come up with their own biomimicry invention, inspired by their favourite animal. We're on to part 4 now, challenge cards. In the resource pack, you'll find a set of challenge cards. These challenge cards all have different invention questions on them within the theme of energy. They can be cut out and shared between a group of students or as a class. They're to support the final invention challenge and help give you and your class an idea of the variety of invention ideas you could come up with. But they can also just be used at any time to help inspire your students to keep coming up with amazing ideas. The invention drawing sheet. Now on to the invention drawing sheet. It's the most important sheet in the inventor's log, as it's the sheet you will submit to Little Inventors to be selected as a winner. We've included 3 invention drawing sheets in each log so that your students can come up with multiple ideas. And don't forget, you can always print out extras too if they have even more ideas. Your students need to fill out the sheet with their inventions in response to the invention challenge question, which you'll introduce them to in part 4 of the teaching slides. They need to draw their best invention in the box using a black pen and colours. Remind them to add labels too, so we can understand exactly what it is they've come up with. Fill out the information on the left, including their name, school, and description of their invention. Okay, here's a reminder of the final invention challenge question. Invent something that generates energy, saves energy, or uses energy better. We hope your students' minds are buzzing with ideas at this stage, and we can't wait to see what they'll come up with. A few tips on uploading the invention drawing sheets. Each classroom is permitted to submit their top 5 ideas. If you're a specials teacher with 3 classrooms, you can submit 5 ideas per class. All invention submissions need to be uploaded prior to March 21, 2025, and it's up to you, the teacher, to do this. Invention drawings should be scanned rather than photographed and uploaded as a JPEG or PNG file. You can find more help on this at the end of the resource guide document. Here's our criteria recommendations for selecting your 5 submissions, but feel free to create your own criteria too. Most fun, detailed, innovative, most likely to really work, most focused on the end user, or a wild card. This could be an invention from a student that rarely gets picked or you feel needs a little extra confidence boost. Don't forget that everything you need is available on the MISD Energy website. Just head to misd.littleinventors.org to find it. You can download the complete resource pack here and upload your submissions too. You'll also be able to view all of the submissions in the Invention Gallery, and we'll give each one individual feedback. Finally, if you have any concerns or questions, we're here to help. Just email hello@littleinventors.org and myself or one of my colleagues will get back to you. Good luck with the challenge!